There are so many things to be said about Ron DeSantis's announcement and propaganda event with billionaire David Sacks and one of the richest men in the world, Elon Musk, along with a host of other right-wingers on Twitter Spaces. Apparently, Twitter Spaces is like AM radio that doesn't work. Ron DeSantis is 42 years old, but he seems to have an embrace of technology when judged against the disaster of this evening's event, like a 92-year-old. At any rate, tonight's debacle will long endure as the most inept announcement in the history of the modern era of presidential politics. There's something wrong with Ron DeSantis with regards to how he views the role of a presidential candidate. Ron DeSantis doesn't seem to be interested in interacting with people. There's something old school, and by old school, I mean old school papal, as in 12th century, where you never saw the Pope. It reminds me of Emperor Hirohito during the last days of World War II. The Japanese people had never, ever seen Hirohito. They revered the emperor as a god. They had never heard his voice until they heard it for the first time on radio announcing the surrender of the Japanese Empire. It seems that Ron DeSantis doesn't want the American people very much to interact with him. Watch this scene. It's really extraordinary. Here's a governor of Florida, a presidential candidate. He interacts with a voter and he wipes snot all over him. This announcement video by Ron DeSantis that prefaced the Elon Musk propaganda event is extremely peculiar. Ron DeSantis shows the American people his back. It's a sign of disrespect, but it tells us something about him. It tells us how the people around him think about him. His wife, Casey, compared him to the big guy, God, in this ludicrous ad. And now Ron DeSantis is seen walking away from us towards the American flag, around a corner and onto a stage, always alone, away, segregated from real people. It is an odd impulse for a politician. He seems repelled by the people like no politician on the national stage since Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was able to take political power because he was a great politician. He understood, after having lost a presidential race, how to use the medium of his era and his day to his advantage by the time his comeback was underway in 1968. Ron DeSantis doesn't seem to understand the technology of his day. But there he was with Elon Musk, the richest man in the world on any given day, and David Sacks, a lesser billionaire. David Sacks introduced him and began with an opening that sounded like the Unabomber manifesto. It was truly extraordinary. And then on it went. A couple of hangers-on who got minor roles in the propaganda event praised Elon Musk. They thanked him. They thanked him for buying Twitter. They thanked him for fighting against the conspiracies that are apparently everywhere inside the mainstream media. For much of the program, it played out like a grievance session on AM morning radio. Aggrieved hosts talking about the conspiracies piling up and mounting against them. And on and on and on it went. Ron DeSantis was asked directly about Disney and his fight with them. Ron DeSantis dissembled, to say the least. The truth of the matter is, Ron DeSantis didn't like Disney criticizing Ron DeSantis's legislation, and he acted with retaliation. He punished a dissenting voice. He abused the power of his office by trying to coerce silence from a company that has every right to speak out. What he did was authoritarian, un-American, and completely oppositional to the ethics and the ethos of conservative ideology that says government has no business telling the shareholder or telling a private sector business what it can and cannot do. But at the heart of this event was something more sinister. Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. And what he did was debut his preferred presidential candidate on his commercial platform, the malfunctioning Twitter Spaces, which appears to be a version of AM radio, only one that doesn't work properly. Maybe it's like early radio from the very, very early days. At any rate, it assembled a fairly meager audience compared to what Ron DeSantis would have drawn on television, and engaged Ron DeSantis in a discussion of their conspiracy theories and pet projects. I guess the question is, what does David Sachs and Elon Musk get out of Ron DeSantis? This is a terrible look for Ron DeSantis. It makes him look weak and owned, controlled and bought and small and invisible. There's another problem with Ron DeSantis's campaign, and it's this. It makes no sense whatsoever. He said at the beginning that the Republican Party was on a losing streak. Indeed, it is. It's been on a losing streak 2018, 2020, 2022. I'll tell you a secret. Do you know who lost? Donald Trump lost. You know who will never, ever say that out loud? Ron DeSantis. He won't say that Donald Trump lost. But he's running saying Republicans have lost and they need a winner. Trump is running saying that he won and didn't lose. See how it works? It makes no sense. Ron DeSantis' campaign will tear itself apart before it even begins. This event tonight was ludicrous. It was a failure at an epic level. It was a farce. It was exactly what you would expect from an Elon Musk production getting involved in a presidential campaign a week or so after overt articulations of anti-Semitism with his attacks on George Soros. Elon Musk has every right to do whatever it is he wants to do in the United States. It's a free country, but he's no free speech advocate. And Elon Musk doesn't care much about the future of the United States. He cares about the future of Elon Musk. That's what he cares about. And you saw it play out tonight as all those sycophants praised him, including Ron DeSantis. It's an unfortunate aspect of this moment of politics that the presidential candidate should be tattooed or be wearing the jerseys of the billionaires that sponsor them. We had one of the richest men in the world, Larry Ellison, in the front row for Tim Scott. He's apparently good for $100 million, maybe more. You have Steve Cohen, the billionaire owner of the New York Mets. He's all in for Chris Christie. And for Ron DeSantis, he's got Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. And what they did tonight was put on a show. It wasn't about accountability or freedom. The American people didn't even get to see him. All they heard were the rehearsed and prescribed questions and answers, rehearsed for days, no doubt, between a couple of billionaires talking about their associations, their whims, and their pet projects. It was an appalling spectacle. And it's one that's not going to work for Ron DeSantis in the Republican primaries ahead. Ron DeSantis will fade quickly. Tim Scott will soon be the ascendant candidate in the Republican field, moving into second place. One thing is clear after watching Ron DeSantis tonight. In the history of presidential campaigns, of which there have been many, and many, many failures, and many failures that became laughingstocks, Ron DeSantis is apparently trying for a league of his own. This was a ludicrous launch for a ludicrous campaign that no doubt will get worse by the day. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you never miss a video. Also, for more content just like this, please consider joining our Warning Premium community. You can find out more in the description below.